at Rebecca Warren's housewarming. Golden light spills through the windows as guests laugh and clink glasses. Outside, a black sedan pulls up. Sharon Warren steps out. Cocktail dress tight, smile sharp as broken glass. Rebecca opens the door, but Sharon pushes past without a greeting, scanning the room like she owns it.
Still playing house, Bex? Hope you are not drowning in debt for all this.
The chatter freezes. Glasses pause mid-air. Every guest in the room feels the blade in that question.
I mean, a house like this? That's a lot for someone who never held a real job.
Let her talk. She has no idea what these walls are made of.
On the dining table, a cake reads "Home Sweet Home" in elegant icing. The irony is lost on Sharon.
Nice to see you too, Sharon. Can I get you a drink?
Sharon prowls the room, a predator scenting weakness. The guests avoid her gaze, the air thick with unfinished sentences.
I don't know how she affords this. She's the family screw-up, probably drowning in debt.
Linda Park shifted uncomfortably, her wine glass suddenly heavy. Dave Morrison glanced toward the kitchen, searching for Rebecca.
Champagne taste on a beer budget. That's Rebecca. She must have inherited money from someone gullible.
Rebecca passed through with a tray of champagne flutes, her face unreadable. She heard every word.
She couldn't even hold a retail job. Now a house like this? Something's off about the whole thing.
One guest attempted to compliment the crown molding, hoping to steer the conversation. Sharon cut him off.
Oh, I am sure she hired someone. She's never done a thing with her hands besides ruin a manicure.
From a quiet corner, Maggie Chen watched her friend absorb the attack. Her jaw tightened, but she held her tongue.
Honestly, I don't know why she'd even throw a party. It's just flaunting what she can't afford.
The party turned into a slow-motion car crash, and no one reached for the wheel.
So, where's the rich boyfriend, Bex? Come on, we're all dying to know who paid for all this.
Every face turned toward Rebecca. The silence was sharper than any reply she could have given. She set down the tray. The clink echoed like a bell in the frozen room.
You know what, Sharon? Let me give you all a tour.
Oh, this should be good. Please enlighten us.
The guests exchanged glances, half relief, half dread. Rebecca walked toward the main living area, and the group parted to follow. Sharon stayed still for a beat, then fell in at the back, her smirk hardening into something less certain. Maggie caught Rebecca's eye and nodded once. Whatever came next, her friend was ready. The tour had begun, and the game board had flipped. Rebecca stopped beneath a massive load-bearing pillar that anchored the great room. The group fanned out, curiosity edging past discomfort.
See how this pillar aligns with the second-floor cantilever. The architect had to calculate weight distribution across an asymmetrical lot.
Who was the architect? I've been wondering since I walked in.
The question hung in the air. Rebecca's smile didn't falter.
I was.
Linda's eyebrows lifted. A ripple of surprise moved through the guests.
You? You never even went to college. What do you know about architecture?
I didn't need college to get my contractor's license, Sharon. I apprenticed under a master builder for 6 years.
Sharon's mouth opened, then closed. The guests traded glances, their earlier certainty wobbling. Rebecca gestured toward the kitchen. Let's keep going. And she walked on, the group following a beat slower. The kitchen cabinets rose floor to ceiling in dark walnut, every door perfectly aligned.
I milled every one of these myself. 3 months of evenings and weekends.
You? You couldn't hang a picture straight. You hired a carpenter.
People change. See these dovetails? You can't fake that. Only handwork gets this tight.
She opened a door to reveal the corner joints, and the guests leaned in, their skepticism cracking like dry plaster.
This is amazing work. I've never seen such clean joints.
Sharon's face tightened, the smirk gone. Her fingers whitened on her wineglass stem.
You hired someone. You are just trying to look good in front of these people.
The guests traded glances. No one spoke, but the shift was palpable. In the charged silence, Rebecca simply opened another cabinet. The tour continued, but the power in the room had tilted. They moved into the library nook, where floor-to-ceiling shelves cradled the room in warm cedar.
I spent weeks on these. My mentor taught me to dovetail by hand until my fingers bled.
You don't have a mentor. You are making this up to seem more credible.
His name is Ted Kaplan. He's retired now, but you can call him.
A few guests pulled out their phones, not fact-checking yet, but ready.
The craftsmanship is incredible. I believe her.
Sharon's face tightened. She scanned the room for an ally and found only neutral stares.
You've all been fooled. She's never been capable of anything like this.
No one responded. The silence itself was an answer. Rebecca moved on toward the hallway, and the group followed, leaving Sharon momentarily alone at the back. The hallway glowed under warm light, 3 frames hanging like evidence in a courtroom.
These are the building permits. Every nail, every beam needed approval. My name is on all of them as the licensed contractor.
Rebecca Warren, you are the builder? All of it.
I was on her crew for half this build. She's the real deal. Pulled the permits, managed the subs, even ran the excavator.
Sharon stared at the permit. Her mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out.
General contractor, Rebecca Warren. It's right here. State seal and everything.
A ripple of gasps moved through the guests. Linda put a hand over her heart. The room had changed sides completely.
But she couldn't. That's not possible.
Rebecca stood still, letting the truth sink in. The silence was heavier than any argument she could have made. The framed permits had done what no retort could. They made the lies irrelevant. Dave paused at the console table, a local magazine catching his eye. The cover read, "Local contractor builds her dream home."
Wait, there's a whole feature about this place. Rebecca, is that you on the cover?
They did a feature. I built this house debt-free with my own company. No boyfriend, no inheritance.
Sharon lunged for the magazine, her fingers trembling as she opened it. The photo showed Rebecca in a hard hat, standing in front of the house.
Look out, general contractor builds her dream home. She didn't buy it. She built it.
And debt-free, on top of everything. That's incredible.
She put every cent back into the business. I've never seen anyone work harder.
The guests murmured, a low wave of admiration. The room had pivoted entirely.
You actually did this, all of it.
A guest glanced at Sharon with something close to pity, the kind reserved for someone who just lost a war she started. The guests pressed closer, firing questions. Rebecca met each one with the same unhurried competence that had built the house.
Could you build a workshop on my property? Something like this millwork?
Absolutely. I'll give you my card after. We can look at the site next week.
I've been looking for someone to redo our kitchen. Yours is exactly what I want.
Sharon pushed forward from the edge, her mouth opening to speak.
This is...
A guest beside her raised a hand, shushing her without turning around. Sharon's words died in her throat. Maggie leaned close to Rebecca, her whisper barely carrying over the new energy in the room.
You are handling this like a pro. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Rebecca nodded, then turned back to the guests, the room fully hers now. Rebecca's voice cut through the chatter, quiet but firm, the way she spoke at a job site.
I didn't build this to prove anyone wrong. I built it because I love building.
The guests fell silent. Even Dave set down his beer, suddenly aware they were witnessing something beyond a house tour. She turned to Sharon, her tone unchanged, as if all the earlier barbs had simply evaporated.
I hear you've got a crack in your foundation. I'll look at it. No charge.
What are you talking about?
Mom mentioned it. It'll only get worse in winter. I'd rather fix it now than see you in trouble.
The room went still. Every eye fell on Sharon, waiting. Sharon's mouth opened, but no sound came. Her cocktail dress suddenly seemed too tight, her confidence stripped bare. The offer hung in the air, a bridge she hadn't expected, and a kindness sharper than any insult could have been. Something snapped behind Sharon's eyes, the shock hardening into a raw, unfiltered rage.
You think you are so much better than me now, just because you built a house?
I don't think I am better, Sharon. I just stopped believing I was worse.
A guest murmured, "Wow," low and involuntary, the word hanging in the charged air.
Mom was right about you. You are cruel.
I am not trying to be cruel. I am trying to be helpful.
Maggie watched, her jaw still tight, but her eyes sad for both of them. Sharon's hands shook, not with anger anymore, but with the slow burn of public defeat. The guests stood frozen, a tableau of a family unraveling in slow motion. The line between attacker and victim had blurred, leaving only two sisters and a room full of witnesses. Rebecca reached into her back pocket and drew out a simple white card, holding it between them like a truce flag.
Here. When you are ready.
Sharon's hand shot out and the card went spinning to the floor.
I don't need your charity.
A collective gasp rippled through the guests. The card lay on the hardwood, a small white rectangle against the dark grain. Rebecca didn't flinch. She bent down, picked it up, and pressed it flat against the entry table.
It's there if you change your mind. No pressure.
Sharon's chest heaved, but the fight had drained from her shoulders. She looked small. The card sat on the table like a silent question, its edges catching the warm hall light. Rebecca turned away, back to her guests, leaving the choice and the high ground exactly where she'd built it. Sharon stood frozen for a long moment, then snatched her clutch off the console, her knuckles white.
This is pathetic. You are all fools for believing her.
She stormed toward the front door, but her heel caught on the threshold, a small, graceless stumble. A few guests hid smiles behind their glasses. No one laughed aloud. The door slammed shut. The lock clicked with a finality that echoed through the quiet room. Maggie crossed to Rebecca, placing a hand on her arm, her voice low.
You okay?
Rebecca nodded, her exhale slow and deliberate, but her eyes stayed on the door for a beat longer. The party exhaled with her, the wound of the evening already beginning to close. Rebecca straightened, picked up a champagne flute, and raised it toward her guests. The real party could finally start. Maggie lifted her glass high, and the room stilled, a new kind of silence, expectant and warm.
To Rebecca, the woman who built her own dream and reminded us all what real strength looks like.
To Rebecca, the room echoed, glasses meeting in a bright chorus.
That was amazing. I am so proud of you. We all are.
Seriously, I want to talk about that workshop. You are exactly who I need for it.
Rebecca smiled, but the lines around her eyes deepened with a fatigue that had nothing to do with sleep.
Thank you, all of you. I didn't expect any of this.
The party reignited, not as the tense affair it had been an hour ago, but as a genuine celebration. Maggie stayed close, her hand resting on Rebecca's shoulder like a quiet promise. For a moment, Rebecca let herself just breathe, surrounded by the life she'd built. Dave pulled Rebecca aside near the fireplace, his voice low but eager.
I am serious about that workshop. Can you come measure next week? I've got the plans ready.
Absolutely. I'll pencil you in for Tuesday. Bring a sketch and we'll talk materials.
And our kitchen is stuck in the 90s. I'd love your input, maybe next month.
Rebecca nodded, feeling the quiet momentum of a business building itself around her. Maggie caught her eye from across the room and raised an eyebrow, lips curving into a knowing smirk.
You know you just accidentally marketed your business, right? This party's gonna pay for itself.
Guess so. Not what I planned, but I'll take it.
Her phone buzzed in her back pocket. The screen flashed. "Mom, we need to talk." Rebecca glanced at the screen, then silenced it without reading further. Tonight wasn't for that. Outside, Sharon sat alone in the black sedan, gripping the steering wheel like it owed her something. Her phone lit up with Mom. She let it ring, then swiped the call away without a second glance. Inside, the party had softened. Linda and Dave were gathering coats. The cake was half eaten. Rebecca slipped out the back door onto the porch, the cool evening air bracing against the heat of the last hour. She looked up at the stars, and a single tear traced her cheek. Not sadness, just release.
You coming back in?
In a minute.
Maggie hesitated, then slipped back inside, leaving Rebecca alone with the night. Alone, she let the weight of the evening settle, not as burden, but as proof. Through the window, the house glowed warm and steady. The first real home she'd ever had. Hers. She hugged Maggie last, promising to call tomorrow. The door clicked shut behind her. Alone at last, Rebecca leaned back against the door and let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. The house was silent now, save for the hum of the refrigerator. She walked barefoot through the rooms she'd built with her own hands. She ran her palm along the wooden banister, feeling the grain she'd sanded smooth months ago. Every surface held a story. The nail holes she'd filled, the joists she'd lifted into place, the late nights with sawdust in her hair. She stopped at the entry table where her business card still lay, untouched. For a long moment, she just looked at it, the same card Sharon had slapped away. Her expression was unreadable, a mixture of hard-won peace and a quiet, lingering hurt. Then she turned away and walked toward the kitchen, leaving the card where it was. In the darkness, the house held her gently, the first safe place she'd ever built. 1 week later, the housewarming felt like a distant shore. Rebecca sat at her drafting table in the workshop, coffee cooling beside a rolled blueprint.
Rebecca, I told my husband about your kitchen. We want you. Can you start next month?
I'd love to, Linda. Let's meet next week to go over finishes.
As she hung up, an email from Dave Morrison landed with the subject, "Signed workshop agreement." Maggie's text buzzed next. "You won't believe this. Carol from the party wants a porch reno. She loved your house." Rebecca sat back, a disbelieving smile creeping across her face. 3 contracts in the span of a single afternoon. She stood and pinned each one: Linda's kitchen, Dave's workshop, Carol's porch, to the corkboard above her desk.
Not bad for a screw-up.
On the wall nearby hung her framed contractor's license, the proof that had started it all. Rebecca picked up her coffee and turned back to the blueprints. The family narrative had been replaced by something far more solid, a career. Weeks later, the workshop hummed with activity. Late one evening, Rebecca sat in her kitchen with a cold cup of coffee, scrolling through supply orders. Her phone buzzed. The screen read, "Mom." She stared at it for a long moment before answering.
Hello?
Her mother's voice came soft and uneven. Words spilled out about talking to Sharon, about the permits, about years of believing the wrong sister. Then a pause. "I owe you an apology, Rebecca. I am so sorry I didn't believe in you."
I know, Mom. It's okay. It's a start.
Through the speaker, her mother's voice cracked. "You built it all yourself. I am proud of you."
Thanks, Mom. That means a lot.
They talked for a few more minutes, plans, jobs, the slow mending of old fractures. When she hung up, the kitchen seemed quieter, but fuller. Rebecca sat still, letting the words settle. The distance between who she was and who they thought she was had finally narrowed. Rebecca stood in the hallway, a small gallery hammer in hand, the framed magazine article waiting against the wall. She measured the space beside the permits, aligned the frame, and drove a nail with 3 precise taps. The framed permit hung steady. She hung the magazine next to it, their truths now side by side. Through the glass, the headline glowed, "Local contractor builds her dream home." She added a photo from the housewarming. Maggie, Linda, Dave, all laughing, a snapshot of the night the narrative broke. She stepped back, surveying her small gallery of proof. Her eyes found the permit that bore her name, Rebecca Warren, general contractor. Morning light filled the hallway, and Rebecca stood in it, the shadows of the past finally cast behind her. A small, satisfied smile crossed her face. She nodded once, as if sealing a private promise. The house settled around her, its walls holding the truth. The narrative that had defined her was finally quietly dead. Months later, the workshop smelled of fresh cedar and drying varnish. Rebecca stood at her bench, sorting through a delivery of hardware. Her phone buzzed. The screen read, "Sharon, I am sorry."
3 words. heavier than the whole housewarming.
She glanced at the business card she still kept on the corner of her workbench. Then she typed, "Come over tomorrow. I'll look at that foundation." The message sent with a soft whoosh. No fanfare, no conditions. She set the phone aside and picked up her coffee, still warm despite the hour. Through the window, the morning sun poured over the half-finished cabinet on her work table. No smile, no triumph, just the quiet, steady peace of a woman who had built her own ground. She took a sip, and the steam curled up into the light. Out there, a foundation waited. But whatever happened next, it would stand on her terms. Rebecca set down her coffee and rose from the workbench. The morning light catching the dust motes in slow suspension. She crossed to the wall and lifted the tool belt from its hook. The leather worn soft by years of labor, the buckle clicked shut with a sound as familiar as her own heartbeat. She moved to the wide window, the early sun warming her face, and looked out. Across the yard, the house she had built glowed under the morning sun. Every beam, every nail, a truth made visible. For a long moment, she just looked, not with pride, but with recognition. A ghost of a smile softened her features. Then she turned away, the tool belt settling against her hips like quiet armor, and walked back to her work table. The morning light spilled over the blueprints and sawdust, and she reached for her hammer. Rebecca built more than a house. She built a truth so solid, even her sister couldn't tear it down.